Hello, parents. This is Mrs. Garcia. I'm your child's social studies teacher for the year. I just wanted to quickly introduce myself. I've been teaching at Frank Wright for almost 10 years now. I love teaching social studies. It's obviously my favorite subject. And I hope that I'm really looking forward just to having in-person teaching this year. So I hope we're having a great year. My contact information is in this first slide. It's rgarcia@imperialusd.org is my email. It's the easiest way to get a hold of me and probably the fastest, along with the Remind app. Now, if you have not signed up for the Remind app, please see your child's syllabus for specific codes in Google Classroom. So for example, if your child is in my first period class, they would go to classwork and click on my syllabus here, and the syllabus would have the Remind code available by clicking on that particular document or PDF. And once it loads, you'll see, depending on the class they're in, that has my Remind code. Now, coming back to the slide, I'm going to first go over just classroom expectations. As soon as students walk into my classroom, the first thing they should take out is their planner. They immediately write what's on my board, specifically homework. If there's no homework, I tell them to write a smiley face, but whatever usually is homework in class is things that they did not finish in the classroom. And while they're filling in their planners, it takes me about a couple minutes to take attendance and stamp assignments if needed. And I will explain what stamping the assignments means in a moment. Now, every assignment that I give is numbered and titled, and I will be collecting packets at the end of each unit, which is approximately 2 to 3 weeks, depending on the length of the unit. It's crucial that they keep their assignments in the folder that I had requested when I first passed out the syllabus or in the first week of school. At this point, all students have their folder, and they should have it labeled as history, US history or world history, depending on the class they're in, or social studies, and it should have their name on it. And this is the primary place where they have all their assignments. And this is what I expect from all of my students. On Mondays, we have AR where students read for 25 to 30 minutes, and they must have an AR book with them at all times. Usually maybe 2, just in case they finish 1 book, they have an extra book on hand. This is easy, 10 points as long as they are reading. And the reason we have this is because in their English class, this is 20% of their grade. And this is just to support their overall reading comprehension. If they do not have an AR book with them, I will be assigning an AR question for that week. The question they answer needs to be 5 paragraphs, and it will be due on that Friday. They will have a 0 for the day, that Monday, and unless they will not be able to make up that 0 unless they do the 5 paragraph essay. During this time, I usually speak to students one-on-one that are missing assignments, or I have them check their grades. Usually by giving out, I usually pass out printed versions of their grades, and I'll staple it to their planners. I might be doing a little bit differently this year than I have in years past, or I might give them time to make up tests and quizzes for absences, or reach out to students who have been absent so that they can make up any work. So yeah, that's AR Mondays. For classroom assignments, this is 50% of the student's grade. All assignments will be in packets or completed in packets, so I do not collect work on a daily basis. Instead, I collect a compilation of work that's done between 2-3 weeks, at the most maybe a 4-week unit. Students will be expected to complete the work on time. Now, on time means they did it when it was due, and I stamp it. So it usually looks like a date stamp. A stamp on the assignment is to let you know if they have completed it on time. So for example, I stamped an assignment called number 2, History Acrostic Poem. This assignment should have been stamped on Friday of last week. So that would be an example of how you know whether they've been doing their work on time. Now, not every assignment will be stamped. Anything that requires independent work is usually the assignments that will be stamped. So anything that requires them to do things on their own, that requires a little bit more time, that is usually what I stamp. So if you're curious, ask your child to take out their folder for my class and kind of go through the assignments and look for things that are stamped versus things that are not. Now, once I collect the packets, I will grade them. It usually takes me a little over a week because I have over 170 students. So it takes about a week for me to kind of turn it around and return assignments. And once I return them, if I leave a comment for them to revise or redo an assignment that isn't done well, that they could earn more points for, they have 1 week to revise those assignments for a higher score. Now, tests and quizzes is the other 50% of your child's grade. We always prepare for tests and quizzes. We always highlight specific information in their notes or packets or whatever handouts I give them. We usually like to play a review game before each test. If they're absent, they will take it when they come back to school. A's on the test. If a student gets an A, one of the rewards I like to give is have them pick where they want to sit. So if there's somewhere else they want to sit in the classroom, they earn that privilege by getting an A on the test, for earning an A on the test. The one thing that is probably different for me than maybe other teachers, for example, is that I do not offer retakes on tests. At this point, I have to move on to the next unit, and I do a lot to prepare them. If they're doing the work, if they're studying what we highlight, if they're studying what we've reviewed in the review game that we usually do the day before a test, they should be having passing grades. So I do not offer retakes. However, coming back to the classroom assignments, they are allowed to revise work or assignments for a higher grade, but that must be done within a week of me returning that assignment. So assignments, they can revise. Tests and quizzes, there are no retakes. Google Classroom. I'm going to just briefly mention Google Classroom because it's going to be used this year primarily for communication purposes and as a secondary source for offering maybe directions to assignments that need clarification, specifically for students who have been absent. The majority of assignments will be on paper for the moment, and they'll be in their folders. Now, if we ever go back to distance learning, hopefully we don't, I will revert back to Google Classroom and I will give assignments via Google Classroom. And if we do that, I will kind of go over, most kids already know how Google Classroom works. Most parents should be familiar now with how it works. So you could check your child's work on classwork, but this again is only if we were to go back to distance learning. This is where you would check their assignments. But for the moment, we are only using it for additional resources and communicating. Now, the best way to see where your child is at in my class in terms of grades is through Parent View. And your child, if they have their own phone, I would highly recommend you download the Student View app. Now, please make sure that when you register on Parent View that your email is current and entered correctly. This is one of my primary ways that I communicate. I encourage students to check Student View frequently. And if you do not have access to Parent View or Student View, I wish I could tell you how to set this up, but I do not know. I don't really remember how to do it because I've had Parent View on my phone for many years. And so what I recommend is that you contact the front office and ask them to help you download or set up the account for Parent View. It's on the app. So I highly, highly recommend. This is the #1 way to keep tabs on your child's grade for all classes. Now, your children probably have already used this already. It's called Clever. Now, Clever is a big game changer because the students use so many different apps and so many different websites. Clever houses all these apps and resources into one page. For example, Google Classroom, AR, Study Island, and most importantly, our online history textbook. Students have a class set that they can use in the classroom, but we will be setting up online accounts for the students for the TCI textbook. Now, the first progress report is September 18th. In order for your child to have a successful academic year, please encourage them to participate during class for extra credit stamps. Each time, for example, if I ask like a question and I'm looking for a specific answer, if your child answers correctly, they get an extra credit stamp. Each stamp is worth half a point of extra credit. At the end of the unit, when I collect the packets, I also collect these stamps. I add them up and I add them as extra credit towards their grade. This is sometimes the difference between an 89%, which is a B+, and a 90%, which is an A-. So most students have been really great in understanding the value of these extra credit stamps. Please, 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 I encourage your child to participate in class. If they're a little bit shy, I try to work with students and not try to put them on the spot. I would prefer, that they voluntarily participate, but my goal is to open up students to get them be excited about learning. So these extra credit stamps are definitely a way to do that. They must complete and turn in all work on time. Again, the stamp means they've been doing the work on time. If you go through their folder and all the assignments that they have, none of them have stamps, it means they're probably not doing the work on time. I usually offer extra credit on at least one assignment per unit or two. For example, in the next coming unit, they will be given a vocabulary assignment. They earn 5 extra credit points for completing a word definition and both a picture and a synonym, and this earns them some extra credit points. This is separate from the extra credit stamps. So on top of extra credit stamps, certain assignments will be given extra credit depending on the effort or what I'm looking for specifically. Now, once packets are graded, students again have 1 week to revise or fix assignments so they can earn more points. There is no limit. I usually will tell students in my notes or comments to them when I return packets that, hey, this assignment you should revise. I will give you more points if you fix this. Students with a B can still revise for an A. Students with a C can revise for even an A. But I would strongly encourage them to take advantage of this because a lot of the times most students do not. And it's such an easy thing to do. So please, please, please encourage. I will send messages when packets have been graded and to mark that 1 week timeline of when they need to revise and resubmit things. Studying for tests and quizzes. Again, there are no retakes for tests and quizzes. So I would be sending again messages to remind you, hey, we're going to have a test. We're going to have a quiz on Friday. Please review what we've highlighted in our packets. So these are things to kind of look for to be successful in my class. Now, lastly, I do not want to go back to distance learning. I'm so excited to be back in the classroom. It's just a different feeling. I enjoy every single student in my class. I am so excited. So please, please, please encourage your child to always wear their mask properly. Keep their hands clean by either washing them in between class periods or using their Germ-X. I always offer extra masks or Germ-X if they need them. And right so far, my students have been fabulous. They've been great. And most importantly, stay home if they're feeling sick. I will always help them make up the work. It's not something I want students to stress out about. I just want them to come back to school healthy and ready to learn. I don't know what I don't know, which means like if there's issues, for example, with technology, it happens. If there's just kind of stuff going on that may be interfering with their learning, please email me. If your child needs help, for example, on an assignment they don't understand, maybe I didn't explain it well enough, or maybe they just need a little bit more support, please email me if necessary. But also with that in mind, please be mindful because I have 170 students. I think I have over 170 students. It's 6 classes, so that's a lot of grading. It's a lot of planning. I have 4 children of my own at home. I have a daughter who's a high school junior, and I have 3 boys, one of which is an evil toddler who takes up and occupies a lot of my time and energy. And I also have a husband who's ready to take away my computer and my phone because I spend so much time planning and grading, and because I really love dedicating my time to my job, but I also need to have boundaries. So when I send a remind message, you do not have to reply thank you. No reply is a good thing. It means you got the message, or I think it has a thumbs up on the remind. If I send an email, you do not have to reply thank you. If it's not necessary, I'm just assuming that no response means you got it, unless there's something absolutely urgent that I need to know or something specific that needs to be communicated with me. So please be mindful of those things. And so with that being said, I'm excited for this school year. I'm looking forward. I'm hoping to just being in the classroom. And I hope we have a good year. If you have any questions, again, you can email me. I will be providing these slides as a PDF version on Google Classroom, just in case, or I will actually be emailing them as well after back to school night, just in case you need to go back to look at them. But other than that, I hope you have a wonderful day. Thank you.